If you put on the album and then it made you angry, that probably wouldn't be a good thing.
No, I don't think so. Don't even want to inspire rage, I want to be the rage. Hello, wir sind Sprints and we're here at Diffus talking about Letter to Self and video games.
How did people react to your album?
The critic reception was really positive. I don't think we were expecting it to go as well. Playing it live for the fans has been amazing. That's been the best part for sure. I think seeing people get engaged with the music, the reaction to some of the album tracks that obviously weren't singles, and getting to play them live.
How did you guys meet?
So me, Sam and Colin all went to the same school. We know each other since we're kids, and then we met Carla maybe 10 years ago and have been good friends since then, but we're in a different band for 4 years maybe, or 2 years. We were in another band, and then Sam joined and we started Sprints in 2019.
I think when Sam came into like the first rehearsal and we kind of just like fully opened ourselves into going after that like heavier sound that we all loved as teenagers and that we still love today and listen to, like that was when we were like, oh, okay, this clicks, and the chemistry was very natural and instant, and we haven't stopped writing since.
In which way did the Pixies influence your sound?
The music is like living and breathing, and that's definitely something we've brought into our music, from whether it's like when we're recording that we do it all live and not to click tracks because we want it to be like a live experience. But the guitars for sure. I think the dual vocal as well is probably a pretty obvious one too, even though ours is probably inverse of the way Pixies did it.
And now we're opening for Pixies for a couple of shows later this year, so that's very exciting.
Yeah, full circle moment.
Why do you think the punk scene in Dublin is blossoming right now?
I think people are probably quite frustrated in Dublin particularly. We're facing like a really bad rental crisis. It's essentially impossible for anyone to own a home or buy a home unless they're on like six-figure salaries. There's a massive homeless crisis. There's a pretty bad drug epidemic. So I think there's a lot of like societal problems that need to be solved, and we lack the government who really care to address the issues. People turn to music as like a way of venting those frustrations. I think it's a very healthy way to process. And punk as a genre was obviously born out of like uprising and like anti-authoritative voices and narratives. So I think that's probably, from our perspective, that's probably where it's coming from a little bit, is wanting to vent those frustrations and have that catharsism, and also like foster a sense of community that you have at shows. Because despite all the difficulties, Dublin is a like incredibly culturally rich city. It's a really like, it's our hometown, like we love it to death. It's a great place and the people are amazing, and you just want to see it do well, and it's a shame that it's not, but there's people who are working their asses off to make the best out of it, who we wouldn't be here without for sure as well.
Why did you choose to write such personal lyrics?
I think like writing really autobiographically and honestly just kind of came about quite naturally when we were writing the record. There was definitely stuff internally that we were processing. Like we've said, we were touring a lot. With that came our first experiences of like being away from home for long periods of time, and like the anxieties of a touring musician's life. And so I just felt like almost like I had to get the stories out. The more I was able to speak about them, the less burdening they became. And also it's probably like a little bit of self-preservation. It's like if you write really honestly and write about your own life, no one can really critique it, whereas people can critique my political stance, but this way it's my experience and you can't say that it didn't happen or disagree with it. It's like, this is the effect that the world or the things that are happening are having on people, so you can't ignore them.
Would you describe your music as angry?
I would see it more as like hopeful, you know, not just like, oh, these are angry songs. It's like, you know, there's a positivity to them, do you know?
I think like, obviously, I think people hear some of it and like the noise and think like, oh, anger, aggression. But it is like, it's a cathartic and therapeutic. And sometimes it is angry, but that's okay. Like angry isn't necessarily a negative emotion if it's directed at something that's healthy, which music is.
I mean, if you put on the album and then it made you angry, that probably wouldn't be a good thing.
No, I don't think so. Don't even want to inspire rage, I want to be the rage.
I read that you guys love video games. Do you have any recommendations?
My ultimate, like forever, will always be the Fallout games. They're my favorite. I have the Fallout New Vegas arm tattooed on the back of my arm, which someone thought it was. I think like someone said like Michelangelo's hand. I was like, it's a video game. I'm not that cultural.
Favorite game ever? Metal Gear Solid, obviously.
What did you learn throughout the album process?
I think it gave us a lot of faith and like more confidence in like our chemistry. I think it's probably like one of the better things about us is that we do have this real natural, quick understanding. We kind of know where we're going with something before we even do it. And yeah, I think we just had this rule when we were making it that there were no bad ideas, that whatever was best for the song is what we would do. And it was nice to see everyone kind of get involved in suggesting stuff and throwing more crazy bits in and playing around with all the pedals and the amps and stuff.
Do you feel like you have established yourself as a band in the music industry?
No. I think like a debut album is like a statement piece. I think we're a band now, probably in everyone's eyes. I think that's kind of like the starting point of your career. So I feel established like within ourselves. Will we ever have to stop fighting for our place? Probably not, because that's showbiz, baby.
Yeah, you definitely feel like established band, but it's also like, okay, now we're just kind of beginning. Even though we've done all this work to get here, now we have so much more work to do,
yeah.
You know?
What's next?
We're basically on tour for 3 months and then have festivals, so we'll be doing festivals all summer. And then be going probably on tour again.
This is kind of the cycle of our life now, is make music, tour the music.
And then after that tour, we'll do a little more touring, I think.
And then there's probably more touring. And then, I don't know, world domination. We'll see. We're just gonna rock out like Avril Lavigne.